Hi guitar players, and welcome back to my channel. I'm very excited for this blues lick lesson number 8, and just like number 7, it's not just one lick, it's actually an entire blues phrase, so a collection of licks in the key of A minor that we're playing over a slow blues. And there's a lot to unpack here. You'll learn creative ways of using the minor pentatonic, high up the neck, playing expressive blues bends using the 9th in a blues, and along the way we'll pick up some inspiration from great players like B.B. King, Eric Clapton and Gary Moore. These licks are transposable to other keys, and a few times I will transpose them an octave lower to make things a little bit easier. So whatever your skill level, I think there's something interesting to find here. You can follow the tabs on the screen during the lesson, or you can download the free PDF that you can find on my website. There's a link to that in the description. Alright, so if you haven't already, grab your guitar and let's get started. This first part is called Big Entrance because that's what we're going to do. We're making a strong statement. We're playing high up the neck with confidence, and we're starting with a pickup lick in the final bar of the previous chorus. Play the 14th fret on the G string 2 times. And I play them with a down and up stroke, but if you prefer 2 down strokes, I think there's enough time for that. Anyway, play them with your 2nd finger. Next is a group of 4 16th notes, and although the track has a 12-8 time signature and a pronounced triplet feel, play these 16 notes with a straight feeling, just like you would in 4-4 or common time. And don't worry too much about the number 4 there above the notation. This indicates that these 16th notes last as long as they would in 4-4 time. A 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So to play these 16th notes, play the 13th fret on the B string with your 1st finger, the 15th fret on that same string with your 3rd finger, then the 14th fret on the G string with your 2nd finger, and then the 13th fret on the B string again with your 1st finger. And play this group of 4 16th notes with alternate picking. So down, up, down, up. So, all together, a 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. And by the way, for reference, we're playing the A minor pentatonic in this 12th position. And then we're in bar 2, and bar 2 starts with the 15th fret on the E string played with the pinky. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. And play it with a down stroke. And a small piece of extra advice for you: right before you play that 15th fret on the E string with your pinky, try to make sure that 13th fret on the B string stops ringing, or else both will sound like a double stop. Let me show you how that sounds. I don't like how that sounds. So what I try to do is I lift my 1st finger a little bit up after I played that 13th fret, but I still touch the string, so it gets muted, so the string stops ringing. And that way I can separate these notes more clearly. And it's a very subtle motion, but it helps to articulate these notes a little better. And that's a lot better. So a subtle motion, but a big difference in sound. Next is the 15th fret on the B string, bend a full step up. And it may feel a little bit weird to play these 2 notes with 2 consecutive downstrokes, but that's how I prefer playing it. And I know technically you could use an upstroke for that 15th fret full step bend there, but I prefer a downstroke because if you look in the rest of bar 2, we're repeating that bend multiple times also with a downstroke. Anyway, perform the bend with your 3rd finger supported by your 1st and 2nd fingers, and I talked about this bending technique already in blues lick lessons 1 and 2. Play this bend note 2 more times. Before playing it in a bend, release, pull off, bend pattern. And this is a very cool effect to add to your lead playing. So let me show you slowly how that works. First, bend the 15th fret on the B string a full step up. Release it back to the 15th fret and then do a pull off to the 13th fret. And this pull off may actually be the most challenging part of this little lick here. When I teach these kinds of licks to my students, I often encounter the same problem. The pull off is too quiet. So after a bend and release, in this case the 13th fret, it won't create much of a sound. And they ask me, how do you give it more volume when you can't pick the string? And what always helps them is to remind them that a pull-off is not just lifting your finger, but moving it a little sideways and giving the string a little pull. That's why it's called a pull-off. So let's play that again. And after that pull-off, we're back to the 15th fret full step bend, and this time really emphasize the bend. Play it very slowly. Put all your feeling into it. You'll notice that we're repeating that same bend from the 15th fret on the B string quite a lot in bar 2. And this is just a way of keeping the energy level high. Remember, we're making a big entrance, a strong statement, so we want to keep that energy level up. At the end of bar 2, we're playing the 15th fret on the E string, again, this time with an upstroke. And to end bar 2, we're again playing that same bend, and this time we're carrying over the bend and the release into bar 3. So bar 1 and 2 combined sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. In bar 3, our opening statement still isn't finished. And this is a great thing about blues improvising, that you don't have to comply strictly to bar lines and chord changes and time signatures. There's a lot of freedom. So use your intuition to play these licks, play these phrases. As long as they make sense in the bigger story, it's okay. And that's also why I like to make these lessons a little bit longer, so you have more context. I think that's more valuable than just learning a small lick or a little piece of a solo. I think it's worth more to learn an entire blues phrase in the context of a jam track. Bar 3 starts with that full step bend on the 15th fret of the B string that is carried over from the previous bar. So in bar 3, we're releasing that bend again, just like we did in bar 2. We also do another pull-off to the 13th fret, but instead of following it up by another bend, this time we're playing the 15th fret without bending it. This is the D. It's a note that fits very nicely over the backing track because the harmony has now moved to the 4 chord in A minor, and that's the D minor chord. So we're playing the root of the underlying chord. Add some vibrato for extra effect. Notice how we're not landing on the D on the first beat of bar 3. We're delaying the landing point a little bit until the second eighth note of that first beat. Next, play the 13th fret on the B string with a downstroke with your first finger, the 14th fret on the G string also with a downstroke, played with your second finger. Back to the 13th fret on the B string again, this time with an upstroke. And we're giving this note a little nudge, a quarter step bend up, one of those classic blues curls as they're called, before hammering on to the 15th fret. And don't rush these two notes, they're eighth notes, so they're following the 8th note groove of the track. And here's a small pause, a little breathing space indicated by the comma on the tab, so the listener can reflect on what we've just played. Let's repeat that entire big entrance. In the rest of bar 3 and 4, we're going up the neck, And this was an improvisation, so let me share with you how I think when I'm improvising these licks high up the neck. So first, let's bring back that A minor pentatonic box in the 12th position that we were using. So I try to visualize that box and then extend it along the rest of the guitar neck. Next, I pick a specific note or a target note to play towards, and I chose the B on the 19th fret of the E string. Now that note isn't part of the A minor pentatonic, it is part of the A natural minor or A Dorian, and it's a note that has a very melodic quality. It's great to add melodic content to what you're playing. So the next time you're improvising, in your mind's eye, try to pick a target to play towards, and don't play it too quickly, or else you have to think of something different. So I'll show you how I delay playing that 19th fret, and first I kind of dance around the note before actually playing it. Now that we have our target set, let's climb our way up. At the end of bar 3, play this fast run of 4 30-second notes, played with alternate picking. On the B string, play the 15th fret with a downstroke, the 17th fret with an upstroke, the 18th fret with a downstroke again, and then we're changing strings to the 15th fret with an upstroke. We're landing on the first beat of bar 4, that's the 17th fret of the E string. That's our A, played with the second finger. You can experiment with different fingerings for this faster lick, but on this Les Paul guitar, and especially this high up the neck, I prefer using my first, second and third fingers, but you could use a more traditional fingering, your first, third and fourth finger, if that's more comfortable to you. This fast run may require a bit of practice to get it up to speed. Now, instead of following the A here with the B was our target, we're jumping over it to the 20th fret on the E string after a little position shift. So we're jumping over to the 20th fret, played with the third finger. Now we're getting very close to our target, only one fret away from it. And while the next note that we're playing is the B, is that 19th fret, bend it up immediately with your second finger, a half step up. So back to the C. Let me show that an octave lower. Release the half step bend back to the 19th fret on the E string, pull off to the 17th fret, played with the first finger, and hammer on powerfully on the 20th fret of the B string. This hammer-on the B string is called a hammer-on from nowhere, because you're hitting the B string out of nowhere. And next is the 17th fret on the E string. End this passage with a full step bend from the 20th fret on the B string, and be sure to add some vibrato and, just like before, really emphasize the bend. Bend it slowly and with a lot of emotion. That concludes the middle section of our blues phrase. Let's repeat. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. This bend serves as a virtual breathing point before moving to the final part of this blues phrase. Ready to end this blues phrase in style? At the end of bar 4, there's a little pickup, so 2 16th notes. That's the 17th fret on the B string. I play them with alternate picking, so the first one is a downstroke, the second one is an upstroke. Play them with your first finger as we're getting ready for some minor pentatonic flash in this position. Let's take a look at bar 5. And in bar 5, we find an expressive minor pentatonic lick I got from none other than the great Gary Moore. Bend the 20th fret on the E string a full step up. And you can add some dead string noise, some muted string noise for extra effect. So bend the 20th fret a full step up and release it back to the 20th fret. Bend with the third finger, supported by the first and second finger. And play both these two notes with a downstroke. Next, play the 17th fret with your first finger with an upstroke. The 20th fret on the B string, played with your third finger with a downstroke. So this time, no hammer on to this note, we're actually picking it with a downstroke, and then do a pull off to the 17th fret to your first finger again. Notice a little movement of my first finger. Often I see some of my students placing a bar with the first finger for licks like this, but in this case I don't think this works because the bar here, if you place a bar, this limits the movement while bending. So I prefer this little first finger dance. Let me show that an octave lower. This lick is repeatable, and that's exactly how I saw Gary Moore playing it in the video. It's also a lick that's easily transposable to other keys because it's just a minor pentatonic lick. So I play this lick 2 times. And now we're back to the 20th fret on the E string where our ring finger is positioned, and we're performing a bend, release, bend style lick. So we're playing 2 consecutive bends after 1 downstroke, where only the second bend is a full step up from that 20th fret. The first bend is a half step or a 3/4 step bend. You can choose. Release that bend back to the 20th fret, and only the second time bend a full step up. And you'll notice that I don't do a full release back to the 20th fret. I like to keep a little bit of tension in the string between these bends. This is another creative way of playing expressive bends, just like that bend, release, pull-off pattern that I showed you in part 1 of this blues lick lesson. We'll do another one of those at the very end. Okay, let's repeat from bar 4. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. In our final lick, we're again pretending that we're playing in 4/4 time. And don't let the notation scare you. This Clapton style lick is much more straightforward than it might seem at first glance. So play the 20th fret on the E string with your third finger with a downstroke. Then the 17th fret, the first finger with an upstroke. Back to the 20th fret with a downstroke again. Try to make that first note a little bit longer than the second and the third. Next, a little legato triplet. So we're playing the 17th fret on the E string with an upstroke. Hammer on from that 17th fret to the 20th fret, again with the third finger, and pull back off to the 17th fret. Land on the 20th fret on the B string, played with your third finger, and picked with a downstroke, followed by the 17th fret on the E string again, played with your first finger and an upstroke. Slower. An octave lower. Again, the cool part of this lick is the rhythm. We're pretending we're in 4/4 time, so we're creating a little friction with the underlying triplet groove of the track. And this creates a very interesting effect. And if you're unsure about these rhythms, try to get the sound in your ear. Try to remember how it sounds. That's how I learned them. Or just play the notes and try to aim for the first beat of the next bar. Just try to land on time in bar 6. Okay, so let's repeat bar 5 and 6 with the pickup. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Let's repeat that third part of our blues phrase once more with the backing track. Alright, before playing through that entire blues phrase once more, let me thank you so much for watching. Thank you for sticking with me throughout this blues lick lesson. I hope it gave you some new ideas and some fresh inspiration for your next blues solo. This video turned out to be a bit longer than my other videos. It started with a small idea, but it turned out there was a lot to talk about, a lot to unpack. And like I said earlier, I think when you're learning these things, you need the full story, the full context, just like when you're listening to music. So that's why I didn't want to leave anything out. Anyway, I like making the video, recording the video. I like making the animations. Everything here on my channel is built from scratch. So if you like my videos, please subscribe, like, leave me a comment, or consider becoming a supporter of my channel at buymeacoffee.com. There's a link to that in the description. Also, if you're interested, there's a link to my selfie store in the description where you can purchase and download the backing track that we used, and that way you can use it on your own social media channel. Let's play this entire blues phrase one last time. And by the way, maybe you noticed that during the video I changed pickup positions. So I started on the bridge pickup. This is a Seymour Duncan JB. Somewhere along the way, by accident, I switched to the middle position, so both pickups are activated. This is a Duesenberg P90. I left it that way. I kind of liked how it sounded, so I'll stick with it for the outro. And feel free to compare with the intro, where only the bridge pickup is used. Let me know in the comments what you prefer.